Hi, Chris Moss here. As you can see, I'm not in the dreary and dismal weather of the UK. I'm in the sunshine in Portugal, about to ride this Suzuki's new GSX-S1000 GX. It's their new sports tourer. It's sort of quite closely related to the GT version, but there are some key differences. It's got longer travel electronic suspension, which is pretty fancy, but it's also got a very advanced electronic riding management system. I'll say one thing, it doesn't have panniers. Suzuki have rather cheekily fitted those for our convenience, but you do not get this bike with panniers. I'm about to ride it for a couple of days, and I'm expecting with its 1000cc 150 horsepower inline 4 motor that I'm going to have a few thrills and a bit of excitement. Let me go and do some miles, and I'll come back and tell you what my impressions are. This is Suzuki's new GSX-S1000 GX. It makes 150 horsepower, weighs 232 kilos ready to ride, and costs £14,499. Suspension. Adding a fair bit more to the cost of the bike, the new electronic suspension package is really impressive. At the touch of a button, you can just instantly alter the damping and ride height to suit your needs exactly. You want comfort? You've got it. You want to firm things up to go faster? Just hit those buttons. It couldn't be easier, and sure beats having to repeatedly stop and get the tools out as you have to on most bikes. Engine. Based on the iconic 2005 GSX-R1000 K5 sports bike engine, the inline 4 still has plenty of speed and flexibility. It's a bit softer these days thanks to emission regs taking some of the power away, but it's still easy to get thrills from. You don't have to rev it, but the extra pace and noise you do get when you do makes it worth it. Comfort. With the bars sitting higher and further back than the GTs, you now sit more upright. Combined with a plush seat, the GX is good for big mile tours, though the high footrests might trouble some taller riders after a while. And for a bike of this price, the screen height really ought to be easier to adjust. Tyres. The OE Dunlop Road Sport 2 tyres aren't the best. Grip's okay, but because they lack feel, they reduce confidence to ride harder. Better Dunlops would improve the bike overall. With the Lecky suspension, quick shifter blipper, cruise control and other electronic trickery, the GX is pretty well appointed, though those panniers are not standard fitment. Right, back after day one on this, how shall we describe this? This highly competent motorbike. There's lots of good news, and we'll start with that. It works. It's a nice, easy to ride, very manageable bike that has a bit of pace. Start with the engine, and it just has that strong drive. It has that sort of flexibility and ease of use. It's not quite as exciting as I remember it being until you spin it harder. I think that'll suit people who can be a bit intimidated by massive horsepower. 150 horsepower is actually not that much these days. So no, I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. I think it's all right. What I do like is all the electronic adjustment, particularly the suspension. At the touch of a button, you can alter power, traction control settings, and the setting of the suspension. You can either have it in auto mode, and the suspension looks after itself. It's sensing what's going on and adjusting itself in milliseconds to cope. Or you can override that yourself and decide whether you want hard, medium and soft. I went for the hard setting, and I started adjusting the preload to just jack the back up a bit and get some extra support and quicken the steering up a bit. Liked it, and just liked the fact that you can, in seconds, alter the bike wholly to suit your requirements. It's pretty comfy. The pegs are a bit high. I think taller guys might have a bit of trouble, but after a long time, possibly. I can't speak for taller guys because I am a short house. It's got some decent little touches. Quick shifter and blipper, quite enjoyed. Like the hand guards, got a USB port. Quite like the brakes. You know, as a dynamic package, it's a pretty decent motorbike. In fact, it's a very good motorbike. But what lets it down is, or so far, just seems to lack something. There's a key ingredient missing. I can't put my finger on it just yet, but it's just a bit short of character, a bit short of personality. It's not winning me over as much as I thought it would. Look, I'd be dead happy to get on it and ride, you know, 1,000 miles. It's able to do what it says on the tin, you know. It is a sports tourer. It will do both of those things. It will excite to some degree via its performance, and it's certainly comfy enough to do long distance on. But I'm hoping tomorrow, when we do a longer day, that little spark is ignited somewhere and I just get a bit of extra warmth from it. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Okay, we've probably only got about another hour's riding to do. We've done about another 3 on top of yesterday's stuff. Verdict's still the same, really. Really good motorbike. Because we've been able to ride it a bit harder today, I've appreciated the engine a bit more. This is a motor you do not have to spin at all, but when you do, you get a reward. It makes a nice noise, really picks up. You know, it's got sporty performance. But I'm still bothered by 2 things. Those tyres primarily, I think, with a better set of rubber on, you'd really appreciate what this bike's got to offer a lot more. And I'm still bothered by this lack of character. If I owned this, I think it just needs sort of, as I said yesterday, you know, just a bit more zest, really. Just even a paint job and a pipe would improve it. I think if you owned it, you'd bond with it. You know, the great thing about bikes like these is they will take you far and wide, and you know, you would develop a relationship with it, and you'd have a bond. You know, you'd have some sort of history. So yes, I think I've grown to like it a lot more, but I think it will take more time still to really fall in love with it. Verdict. All in all, the GX has to be seen as a good and effective sports tourer, even if it does lack a bit of sparkle. With different tyres, slightly lower pegs and an electric screen, it would be better still. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.